accomplished?
I work from home, dog.
Um, bro, Army Dental.
Love it.
Dude, you need some of that Air Force money, man.
Dude, I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you.
Oh my God. So AV, you said that you work from home, right?
I do.
Okay. Is it like a normal schedule or is it like all jacked up?
No, it's normal, bro. I work Monday through Friday, and then I work 5:30 to 1:30.
Oh my God.
It's not too bad. That's awesome.
Early stuff doesn't bother you then?
I prefer. I'm more of a morning person than a night owl.
Yeah.
Always been that way, man. It stems back to when I was a kid, and my dad waking me up to go rabbit hunting, duck hunting, pheasant hunting, hitting the trout streams in the morning. Like, it was always ass crack of dawn, bro.
I think that was what really unites Colorado fishermen, because check this out, and Chris already knows the story, but I'll tell you here in a second. So I just finished the tournament. So when you were at Cedar Bluff, fishing the Cedar Bluff tournament, I was at Lake Logan Martin here in Alabama, and I was fishing our last tournament of the year, and I was again.
I love the way he's frozen. He's all
Yeah, dude.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, he looks drugged, bro.
I'm doing the kayak and the. All right, we're back. Dude, what happened?
You froze like this for a minute. Yeah.
It was like my O face.
Oh,
It's like you just shot up and then you were transitioning.
Dude, thank God I checked a box for like, this is not a kid's live stream. I did. I hit the button. I said there ain't no way in hell I could ever let the public know. The children. You can see this.
oh, that's awesome.
Brother's Brim is for the children.
That's just perfect, bro. Like, the timing. I love it.
I'm an anti-sleep guy though, man. Like if there was one thing I didn't have to do in my life, eat, poop, sleep, I would take sleeping out.
Yeah. Well, I can't sleep as it is, man. I was diagnosed with severe insomnia, so if I don't take my meds, I fucking can't sleep. I'll be up 72 hours straight.
It'd be like, I don't know, it'd be like Preston play. I think that's better.
Yeah.
You guys are laughing your ass off. See,
Well, no, bro, because you were like, well, actually, it's like,
yeah, I was like,
yeah.
Fuck the kid. Like, whoa, bro.
Oh my God. Okay, so back to what I was saying about Logan Martin is, so I ended up finishing second at Logan Martin. The guy that finished first is also from Colorado Springs. So we had the two guys that finished first and second at Logan Martin, both from Colorado Springs. And I was thinking the thing that links all the outdoorsmen from Colorado Springs in that area of the Front Range is you talking about that. You know what it's like to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning to go someplace like, I don't know, like 11 Mile Reservoir and fish for trout when the sun comes up. And it's not cold. It's beyond the definition of what effing cold is. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like a new kind of definition.
Plus 80-mile-per-hour winds at 11 Mile, because that's the only place in the state where the wind doesn't know how to chill the fuck out.
It doesn't stop. It's a vortex, man.
No, supposedly there's smallmouth bass in that lake.
They've been telling me that shit. They stocked them 20 years ago as a test to see if they keep the kokanee population down. And occasionally some dumbass will catch one. I don't know how, because they're not populating anymore. So
I keep hearing they're in there. And what blows my
grass,
mind,
crawfish, bait fish.
bro, and the crawdaddies up there look like freaking like lobsters, dude. Like, it's insane.
Dude, that's crazy.
I saw one carrying a baseball bat. That's how big the crawdads are.
Dude, those are the type of crawdads you hang out with, Holmes. That's the one you hang out with.
I was like, I would eat this dude, but he might kick my ass. So, like,
no joke.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, that's crazy, dude. I got a shirt for you, dude. Check it out. Ready?
Oh, let's go, Los Doyers!
Los Doyers.
Los Doyers!
I like the shirt. I don't like the hats. It's like they got really creative. They're like, okay, we're gonna do all blue, and we're gonna make the logo on the hat be exactly the same as the jersey.
You know what, man? Like, I'm an old school traditional kind of guy. So, like, I love the gray. I love the white. And when they went all blue at first, I wasn't on board until I realized, like, what the meaning was behind it.
Right.
And then, a salute to the Latinos. I was like, you know what? That's pretty cool, man. I like that. I mean, all blue, like, I guess. East LA, like, I wouldn't go all red. You know what I mean? You know what I'm
That's right, bro.
Like, you ain't gonna sell no all red jerseys in LA, bro.
Hey, bro. On that note, I got an idea for a Brothers Brim T-shirt. It's gray and black, Raiders, right? And it's gonna say AA Battery Chuckers, Brothers Brim.
No, dude, that's freaking sand. No, the battery chuckers is what we used to call the Giants back in the day.
They did it in Oakland too, man.
Dude, the freaking it's the Bay Area shit. And this dumbasses at the freaking Air Academy, at the Air Force Academy, threw batteries at the band at Colorado State when I was in college there. So it's just not the bash, local Colorado Springs folks, but man, you can't count. It's Air Force number 1. Some pick fights here. Air Force number 1, and then Air Academy number 2. And then then you have people chucking freaking batteries at me.
Well,
so
they're officers too. Officers.
Okay. So you can say that. Antonio will be okay with you doing that, I think.
That's right. He knows. NCOs, we're not gonna chuck batteries, dude. We're just gonna take your girlfriend. It's fine.
Yeah, man.
Nah.
We're just
All right, so I need a ruling. You ready for this? Okay. All right. So these are these underspins I'm working on, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this one right here. All right. Come on.
Okay.
Jack. You can barely see it. Okay. I don't know if that'll come in. But basically, this is that same wire that I've been using on the this isn't the super light wire. And this one is titanium. Okay.
Oh, okay.
But here's the question is, does it make a difference? Would it make a difference?
I'd have to see it with a blade and work it, man. Because
Yeah.
like the cool thing about that light wire, what I like on the Elite spinnerbait you kind of been working on, is it flexes. So when you get it sub water column, like right at the surface, I mean that blade's humming right there, right? So with a more rigid wire base, I wonder if it still gives it that flex a little bit. That's all.
I don't know if you're fishing at 30 feet. Does it? I mean, my thing is like, does it make a difference? Does it not? But as we're noticing, as we're playing with the wire, the gauge of the wire is, I want to get that vibration. I feel like it does make a difference, but I also can't have it. For example, I love the baits that we've been doing with light wire. I like the compact with the light wire. But everybody I've talked to was like, this is great. It catches fish, but I can't fish it because it won't exist after 3 catches, like 2 fish catches. I mean, that's pretty much what I get. So I don't know. So Antonio, you first person, why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience, not only fishing some of the bass, but we want to hear about Kansas.
So Cedar Bluffs, Kansas, my club championship. We drove out there Thursday night, practice Friday, and for practice it started off like it was chilly in the morning, dude. It was like probably 57 degrees in the morning.
God damn.
And then Friday it only got to like 73. But it's overcast. We had winds coming out of the southwest about 10 to 15 miles an hour. My boat ran flawlessly out there. It's
That's
kind
awesome.
of amazing going from Pueblo and, Trinidad and John Martin to Kansas. Because, I got a champion and, my boat's heavy as hell. I got an 18-foot, 7-inch boat, and it's almost 2,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So on Pueblo, one person full tournament load, I'm lucky if I'm pushing 48 at 58 RPMs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I got a Yamaha 150 on it, which is plenty for me. Like when I start fishing the bigger stuff, like of course I'm gonna want a bigger boat. But right now my boat's fine. But she ran 54 in Kansas, so I was pretty happy, man. Like that chubby girl was flying across. So anyway, back to my fishing. So if you've never been to Cedar Bluffs, man, like there's just fucking trees everywhere.
Yeah.
And pretty much any type of cover you could think of, dude. Like there's eelgrass, there's fucking what's that shit, man?
They got milfoil in there, just standard.
Milfoil, yeah.
I believe they used to 20 years ago.
Yep, they had milfoil. They have like bamboo.
Like reeds, that short stock reed stuff.
Like tulies?
Yeah, dude. Like they got like the little. It looks like tiny baby bamboo, but that shit is thick, man. And then
yeah, that's crazy.
And then there's just grass everywhere, man. And then so practice, I was like, all right, I'm gonna stick a couple fish, not a lot, but I'm just gonna try to pattern them. So I pick up the spinner bait, one of the spinner baits that Randy sent me. And I was sitting there looking at it, and I was like, dude, this bait was made for me. It's one of the compact ones, and it had a gold Colorado and a silver willow. First cast, bro, I hook up with a bass in my first spot. It's like a 112. So I'm like, oh shit, like this little bait first cast, typically that's like bad luck because you're like, oh shit, now my day's gonna suck. And I'm fishing it right through these small brushes, like the little brush that are in the tree mixed in with the big tall trees over there at fucking Cedar Bluff. So I'm fishing in the middle of all these trees, man, and I'm just burning it through there, like slow rolling it, but still, it's cooking pretty good through that stuff. I was fishing it on a very low gear reel of 531, and I cast it again. Boom, another fish, and I'm like, okay, this thing's catching them. From what I was hearing, everybody was catching them on like 1/2 ounce and 3/4 ounce, all white double willows. And me, I'm fishing this tiny little fucking spinnerbait, Colorado willow, and the color looked like a crappie more than it looked like a shad to me. I cast it back in, and I feel a nice little tug. So I don't set the hook hard, I just let him run with it, and then I'm like, oh fuck, I think he hooked himself. Reel it in, it's a crappie. I'm like, oh shit, pretty much everything is beating this spinner bait, man. Next cast, I hook up with like a 254. And so I was like, all right, I'm putting it down. That's 3 bass in less than 30 yards, man. I'm putting this thing down. So I pick up a chatterbait. First cast, I catch a fish on a chatterbait. And it was just one of those days, man. Like everything you pick up, everything you throw, it's just working. You know what I mean? And I start getting in my head because I'm a textbook overthinker, bro. So like right away,
you're in the right room.
Yeah.
I'm telling myself like tomorrow it's gonna be different. It's gonna be different. Yeah. I'm gonna fuck this up. Like and so I take my boat back to this cut that I was working, man, and it gets back to 1 foot. And, I start looking around, and on my graph, you can see all these little bluegill beds, but it's only 1 foot, and I still have about 25 yards till I could get to the tree line. And I'm like, man, I know there's some big fish sitting in those trees. But I was like, I'm going to save it. I'm not going to mess with it right now. So I went to the other side of the cut, started throwing a lipless crankbait in between the trees just to kind of see how I was yo-yoing it. Boom, set the hook. I had like a 314. Yeah. And this is practice, dude. So like I'm in my head, bro. Like I'm already convinced I'm gonna blank tomorrow. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put the lipless down. I'm just gonna throw, I'm gonna bend the hooks on my crankbait and throw it. So I bend the hooks on one of my crankbaits. It's a shad pattern crankbait. It was actually a 13 fishing scamp. And I threw it out there first cast, and it just loads up, bro. And I was like, oh,
on what? Like how?
So I didn't bend one of the hooks all the way in. Check this out. So, like, you know how you pinch them super tight together, right?
Yeah.
Well, these are Gamakatsus, so I didn't want to fuck it up too bad. So I bent them in as far as I could, but there was just a tiny bit, bro, a tiny bit, and I had a 4-pounder choke it. It was enough to hook her right in the throat, man. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, fuck, dude. So I start reeling in, and it was on like a do nothing bank, bro. Like it was no structure, it was just straight rock bank. And like, and it was just it wasn't even, it was rock on the shore, but underneath it was just mud. And I was like, I ain't gonna catch nothing on this, but sure as shit, that big girl was sitting there. And I bring her in, and I put down her throat, and the crankbait is sideways, and that one fucking piece of hook is just stuck in her throat. And so I'm like, fuck, dude, like I'm not throwing anything else with the treble hook, man. So I just went looking for areas, and then day one happened, and I was by myself. You know, typically the way we do it in the club, it's a draw tournament, and we didn't have enough co-anglers, so I was by myself. And we do it on card tournament. People don't know what the card tournament is. Pretty much, you catch a fish, you weigh it, you write the weight on the card. We do that in Colorado because we don't have a lot of 15-inch bass. That may sound crazy, but it's true. It's true. You know,
Make
we catch a lot.
I'll talk about that later.
So I'm by myself, and you know, a while back we had a rule that if you were by yourself, you have to catch 5 fish over 15 inches, and you have to have them verified by another angler.
Oh man.
Well, I forgot that they had sent out a memo that said you were allowed to take a picture of the fish and the weight like a kayak tournament. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I that was like a fucking year ago when they sent that out, and I just completely spaced it out. And it was one of those things where I kept saying it and nobody corrected me. So I was like, all right, like this must be the real fucking deal. You know what I mean? Because typically if you say something wrong, people are like, hey, bro, just so you know, like you can keep short fish, just take a picture of it. Well, nobody said that. Not making excuses, like I should have fucking known better. I'm even on the board of directors of the club, so like I should know this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like it was an honest mistake. I forgot. So I go to my spot. I start throwing the Bros Brim spinner bait, and I'm just lights the fuck out, dude. Every cast I'm catching a fish, and it's like every 20 yards on that spinner bait. I caught so many fish, dude. The eye was knocked off that fucker. The blade got knocked off that fucker. The wire was completely straight, dude. Like I brought this thing in and it made the letter fucking L. That's how many fish I caught on this thing. Yeah. And I had to keep bending the wire back, but you know, I kept throwing it, and I'm pretty sure the bass were looking at the spinner bait like, yo, this thing is fucked up. Let's eat it. You know what I mean? Like, this dude ain't going nowhere. He's got a bad fin. Like, the Nemo, bro.
Great. Yeah, it's the Finding Nemo spinner bait. You know, that's not the endorsement we want with our products, okay? This is the one with the gimpy fin. That's what you want to throw.
You told me to test it. I tested it, and that fucking thing worked, bro.
Hey,
like,
that's perfect. That's exactly what I wanted.
You sent him the compact with the light wire, right?
I sent him a couple of different ones, but that's the one he caught fish on, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and
go ahead.
It was the tied skirt too, not the collared skirt. So this thing, like I'm telling you, dude, the profile's perfect, the weight was perfect, the fall rate on it was perfect, like everything was perfect about this bait. And
blades,
it stayed in my
blades. Those are the nice Hildebrandt blades too. Those are the good ones, I think.
And then, so I ended up catching like a 225 on the spinner bait. And then the spinner bait died because the wind kept fluctuating. You know what I mean? So the wind would die. So I'd pick up a buzz bait. And, you know, I started working a buzz bait, and dude, I caught 25 fish on a buzz bait. And it was so fun, bro. And it was actually the first time in my life I've ever had a fish choke a buzz bait. Like he engulfed it, dude. Like I had to do surgery on this fish to get my buzz bait back. And I ended up catching like a 220 something on it. And then the buzzbait bite died. And it was like, it just seemed like any time a different element was added to the day, something was killing the bite.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I would have known about the pictures or remembered about the pictures, I probably would have had 12, 13 pounds day one. But I only took in 3 fish over 15 because my dumbass forgot the rule change. So I had about 7 pounds for 3 fish. Wow. And, you know, I was catching them. And what was funny is there was a local tournament going on there. And I heard this one guy, he goes, why the fuck is that dude throwing a buzzbait? Like, he doesn't know shit about this lake. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, this guy has no idea what's happening right now. So as he's sitting there talking shit, they're watching me, and I have a 317 blow up on my buzzbait. And it was like, you know, you remember the old Vines when the dude would get the cigar in the glasses and it would start like it was at that moment, the second that 3 pounder hit that buzzbait, I set the hook and I just stared at him. You know, and I'm not an arrogant or a cocky dude, but like, don't talk shit about me when I'm doing something that's working. You know, like if you're fishing and something's working for you, good for you, bro. I'm not going to sit there and talk shit to you about it. Like, oh, what's up, pussy? You're catching fish, loser. You know what I mean? Like, that's just not me, man. So when that happened, like, I just stared at the dude as I set the hook. And like, I mean mugged him, man. Like, fuck it, dude. I don't care. I'm by myself. I'm in Kansas. Like, nothing's going to stop me, bro. So
love it. You're like, your state already sucks. It doesn't matter. It's like, this is the only good thing you have in your state. Shut up.
So that was day one. You know, I went to the ramp and everybody's like, you only caught 3 fish? And I was like, nah, I actually caught like fucking 100 fish, but I only had 3 over 15. And then that's when everybody was like, bro, like, you know, you could have taken a picture of the weights. And I was like, that would have been really fucking nice to hear about an hour ago. You know? So after day one, I was in last place. Because people were wrecking them, dude. Like, first place after day one had almost 14 pounds, 5 fish for 14. So, you know, and I'm 7 pounds behind. So day 2, I was like, you know what, man? I'm just gonna have fun. I'm gonna do everything I can to not take last place. That's all I wanted. But I had so much fun at that lake, dude. Like, I really didn't care how I finished. If it was like the state qualifier or something, I would have been pretty upset about it, but it's just a club tournament. Yeah. You know, but it still bummed me out because I was on good fish, man. Like, I was. So final day comes up. I got a non-boater that day, and, you know, he was telling me this and that, and, you know, he was in 6th place, and I was like, I just want to get this dude on some good fish, man. Like, that's all I want. I want him to catch at least 10 pounds with me.
That's cool.
And, you know, I really didn't give a frick how my day went, but I wanted to catch a frogfish because everybody's saying the frog bite was on, but I couldn't get on one, man. And I don't know why. So day 2.
You wouldn't put that damn buzzbait down.
That's why.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just having way too much fun, man. Like,
yeah, man.
It's something when they go airborne for it, dude. When they go airborne for a buzzbait, it tickles your fancy, bro. Like, it's hard to get away from that high, man.
Let me ask you this: Are you a skirt guy, or do you take the skirt off and put on? Like, I like the whole buzz toad thing. That's like Randy got me hooked on that. That's my deal. Yeah.
So I do both, but you know, I'm a firm believer in using a trailer with your buzzbait. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's almost as good as a trailer hook. Right. It just gives the bass something more to hold on to, man. Yeah. And, you know, I even told my co-angler on day 2 that because he was fishing a black War Eagle buzzbait with no trailer hook and no trailer on it. And he kept missing fish. And I was like, dude, you have to put a trailer on there, bro. I'm telling you, like, it just gives it a nicer profile and it gives them something to hold on to. And sure as shit, he put a little trailer on there, and even the little ones were sucking it in.
Well, and that's why I like putting the horny toad on there, right? Because it just gives them some meat, man. You know, and it just looks cool.
Well, I mean, here's the deal: is we throw a buzzbait a lot here, obviously, but if we're fishing super shallow and fishing around wood where it has to like roll over the top of wood and stuff like that, there's a river here called Warrior River, and there's two lakes there called Bankhead and Holt, famous spotted bass fishery. I will fish there without a trailer because a lot of times the way that the bait rolls over the logs and things like that, and it's just throwing a light quarter ounce, it helps. Outside of that, honestly, when I throw a trailer on everything else because what happens is it allows me to fish that bait faster and slower. Like that makes sense. Like I fish it faster, but it holds up higher because of the plane that it has when it has a. So that's why I like it.
Yeah.
So you caught fish on. So you got fish toad. You got frogfish going on Sunday. Is that what you said?
Yeah. So Sunday, you remember how I told you at the back of the cut where we were seeing a lot of those bluegill beds, but it got down to like 1 foot.
Yeah.
And there were still about 25 yards from. So you could see the drop off. Like the water was crystal clear at Cedar Bluffs. Like I want to make that known because I've never been to anywhere outside of Colorado that's had water that clear. You know, that's not a northern tier lake.
Yeah.
Cedar Bluffs water was very clear, man. Like you could probably see 6 to 8 feet down. I felt like I was home. So we start fishing, and like that dude that I was with was like, "Hey, let's try to get to that tree line." And I was like, "Dude, just look down. Like you can see the dirt. Like the head of my trolling motor's almost in mud." And, you know, so we're fishing it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to pull the frog out. So I was fishing a bronzeye 65 albino, a spro frog. I was using, it was a Powell nuisance rod, 7.3 heavy, 65-pound braid. And I just launched this frog, dude. I launched the frog as far as I could, and it barely made it to the tree line. And the second it hit, I had like a 1.5 blow up on it. And man, my heart dropped because I was like, dude, the frog bite's on. Like it's over. It's over. I'm not going to be able to put this toad down for the rest of the day, man. Yeah. So I catch that one fish, and you know, I catch another short, and then I was about to go past these reeds, and that dude Andy says, "Hey man, throw your frog in there." And I was like, you know what, Andy, like this whole weekend I've been on such good fish. Like I've avoided these reeds in the back this whole time. I said, because everything I've been, you know, that spinnerbait I've been throwing, just been wrecking them, dude. As like in the buzzbait too, like when the spinnerbait bite would die, like I caught a couple flipping fish too, which was pretty awesome. But I was like, when the bite would die, you know, like the spinnerbait or the buzzbait was my go-to. And he's like, dude, just fish it. What do you got to lose?
Was it like super shallow or what? Was it like really shallow?
It was. My boat was sitting in about 3 feet of water, but back in the reeds where I was catching my bigs, it was only like half a foot, but it was deep in there, man. And it was like you had to find the perfect line, because if you didn't, your toad was getting wrapped up with everything. So I said, screw it, man. I was seeing good little lines. I was like, let's just hope my aim's on today. Aiming with a frog and some 65-pound braid is easier said than done. So I chucked that frog back there. It hits. And, you know, I wasn't walking it and I wasn't popping it. Well, I guess I was popping it, but it would just be like one pop and then just die. One pop and die. And because my buddy Connor told me, he's like, yeah, dude, when I'm catching frogs, it's not like a normal cadence, man. He's like, I'm almost fishing it like a pop R. Yeah. So I just kept hearing his voice say that, and like I just popped it once, let it sit, popped it again, boom, airborne fish. Set the hook. I ended up calling it was like a 109 that I had on the card. I ended up calling it with like a 212. And then I caught a couple more like 1.5s, and we're like, all right, let's let this reset, and we'll come back. So I'm fishing, and then next thing you know, like we're catching a bunch of shorts, throwing spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, and my buddy Andy says, let's go back to those reeds. I bet you they reset. And I was like, why do you want to keep going back there, man? And he's like, dude, I'm having so much fun watching you catch these fish on a frog. And I was like, well, why don't you throw a frog? He goes, because I like what you're doing. And, you know, it's pretty cool when your co-angler tells you that, you know, you're
Yeah.
you're putting on a fucking show, and he likes that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Well, he learns
I'm
more
like,
by
fuck,
watching
dude, if
you.
you
Yeah.
yeah, and I was like, if you want to learn, I was like, if you want to flip while I'm, chucking this toad back there, then whatever, man. Let's get you your limit. So I go over there and I flip the white toad back there, and dude, it was like a 320 something just smokes it. Like it hit the water and she was out of the water with the toad in her mouth. And it was way back there. So, I set the hook and I'm just sitting there trying to muscle this fish in. And, it was one of those moments where I was like, this is the shit I live for, dude. Like catching a frog in the thickest shit possible and just having to muscle it in, praying to God my rod doesn't snap. But, I use a pretty good rod company, so I'm pretty happy with their product. But
Were you throwing up? You using power?
yeah, ended up. Yeah, I fish PAL rods. As far as reels, I'm kind of a reel whore, but 90% of my reels are Daiwas.
Yeah.
I started fishing with 13 fishing reels this year. I got 3 of them, and they're pretty dope. I like them. That's what's actually on my frog rod. It's a 13 fishing. It's like the teal one. I think it's actually and it's actually like a fucking saltwater reel.
Yeah. It's one of the
But
larger profiles one, right? Oh no. All by myself. Nah, I'm a man.
What? Did we lose him?
Nah, he transformed.
Sorry, I got up because I was wanting to show a comparison. Poor bastard. Oh, he's coming back.
Here, hold on. I want to grab something real quick.
He's still talking too. This is awesome. I'm gonna push him in. Dude,
I got that
we
dollar
lost
store
you.
internet, man.
That dollar store internet, dude. I'm in Alabama, dude. I got rednecks in the back on Peloton bicycles trying to keep this shit going.
Yeah,
you were talking about your 13 fishing. You're throwing that teal one. That's the step, but it's not so I have some that I'm throwing. I have the Inception Concept C, which is a green one. I got a lot of those, and that's the one I sell a lot of. Shit, I sold 10 this week. But it's mine are good. The 13 fishing I have, but I haven't had one last longer than 2 seasons for me.
Really?
But that's just also because I'm lazy and I'll sell them, I'll resell them. And I also have all the rest of mine are all my bait casts are. I have a couple of STXs or SLXs, and the rest of mine are Corados. But I sold all of my. I had some zillions that I had, and for the Daiwas that I liked a lot. I had some Tatulas that I liked a lot, and those ones.
I love my Tatula. My Tatula, man, has got me thinking about it a lot differently. I love it. That combo that I have is really nice. Go ahead.
I fish a lot of. I have a couple Tatulas. I have a couple Fuegos. I have I think it's like a CR80. It's like orange and silver and black.
Yep.
And I use that on my top water and swim jig rod, and that reel is actually pretty impressive, man. Like I just bought that this summer, and Kansas was actually the first place I've used it, and it was pretty lights out, dude. Like it was a solid little reel.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, congrats. I'm glad you caught a lot of fish. I'm glad you gave me some killer feedback on what we're doing with the spinnerbait. As Chris knows, I've been working on versions of the spinnerbait for several years. Yeah. And then, but it's mainly because life gets in the way, and then I stop working on it. And then, but that was the thing. I was gonna joke with you. So my first ever. It was funny. You gave me the contact for Joe Conway this past week, and I fished with Joe Conway when I was 16 years old. And so it was. I remember you were talking about card tournaments, and my first ever tournament as a boater. I was 16 years old, and my dad got us a boat. It was a piece of crap, 15 foot, 6-inch. Skeeter. It was a tiny little boat.
Yeah. What kind of motor though?
What? Oh, it was dude. I had and as a matter of fact, I think Joe might have owned this boat at one point, but it was it had 150 horsepower Merc on a 15-foot 6-inch.
Let's
boat.
go.
Dude, that thing was
unicorn,
like,
bro.
So, but the thing about that boat was crazy is, it was just great. It could move around. It was perfect. It was fine. That was the first boat that I destroyed. It was great. And there would be 2 others that I decided to explode too in that process. But the craziest thing, you're talking about card tournaments. Back then, you could not catch a keeper at Pueblo. So you catch fish. You could not catch a keeper. They could not have a weigh-in tournament there. The only tournament in the state they could have was at the time was like Navajo or maybe McPhee and John Martin were the only tournaments they ever had a weigh-in at, and still then you're looking at maybe 3 fish, maybe 2 fish. So we were doing the card tournaments, and this is when everybody had a scale, a little black Berkeley scale, and then you would weigh them. Dude, at one tournament at Pueblo, my second tournament I ever fished as a boater, I filled up 3 cards, the front and the back. I caught 125 fish, and not a single one of them was over 12 inches.
That's awesome.
And of course, everybody made fun of me. They're like, "Why would you do that? Why would you fill out the whole cards?" I was a kid. I was 16. I was like, "I want to put everything on there, dude."
Having fun, man.
The guy that was in the back of my boat's like, "You're an idiot." And I'm like, "He's from Texas or something." And I'm like, I'm putting 11 inchers on there, like.
Yeah. Like, I always tell people, like, we'll have a tournament and like 8 pounds will win it. And people, they're like, that's awesome. A fucking weak ass tournament. I'm like, you know what, dude? At Pueblo, 8 pounds is hard to get sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't tell you, Logan Martin, my home lake, I can't tell you how many tournaments with a boater have been won with 8 pounds. I can't, more often than not. Okay. More often than not.
Well,
so I was gonna dude, go ahead.
Sometimes here in Iowa,
yeah,
I would cry for 8 pounds. Is all I'm saying. Sometimes. Iowa's very deceiving. So given the water that we all know and love from Colorado, that crystal clear, like just unbelievable, it doesn't have shit on Iowa. Like you can almost see 30 feet deep. It's madness. There's this place I took Randy to. I call it the aquarium. It's a little like nursery pond. There's a bazillion like 10-inch bass in there, but there's a couple hogs in there. And so seasonal trends really affect everything here. So the spring, when we went to Smith Lake, I believe my wife and I, and we were catching 3s and 4s, like on repeat, solid 4s. And I was like, all right, this is cool. This is cool because I've been catching dinks all season. So it's nice to get on something. Well, we're about to leave, and Natalie's like, nah, one more cast. She catches a 5.5. I catch a 4.5. And I'm like, dude, like, it's flipped my whole mind to Iowa and just how all that works. But
I saw her. I saw Natalie in the background.
But my point is there's days out here like these fishermen in the north. I have an immense respect for because grow up in Colorado. We know what hard fishing is, but out here, man, it's like Hunger Games, bro. They're like winter's coming. They're holding the wall, bro. It's fucking nuts.
AB, I just sent you a text. How's your time looking?
Oh, I'm good, bro. Like, my kids are. I think my kids are asleep and my wife's showering, so I'm good.
Oh shit, dude! Bring the webcam in. No, I'm just joking. You can't do that shit. You've been pushing the limits already. Look at you. You're pulling out the plastic. Pulling out the plastic right there,
dude. This shit right here. This shit.
All right. I'll let you do show and tell. I know I've been talking about. I'll let you do show and tell next because you've been developing. Chris has been working on plastic nonstop since he got back from training. So let him talk about this. But I wanted to show you guys this. So you're sitting there fishing a Colorado Bass Club tournament. Yes, you're in Kansas, but you're a Colorado Club member, Bass member. So you're sitting there doing that. You're fishing a frog. You're fishing a buzzbait. You're fishing a spinnerbait, right?
Yep.
So I'm sitting here and I'm fishing in a club tournament with former Bassmaster Classic competitors and all this stuff, right? And this is what I caught my fish on, okay? 6-pound test fluorocarbon. And Chris got me on this, so I'm about to go juice. I'm about to show the juice on public, okay? So, all right, so this isn't mine. I wish I could take credit for it, but some smart Japanese guy did this. So here's the screw head. Okay. So the screw head.
I love it.
Right. Okay. That 6-pound test. I think this is a 3/16. This is small, but it might be smaller than that. I'm a 1/8. It might be a 1/8. And then with the little spark shed on there, okay, literally cast it out, let it sink, count it down to where the bait is at, and I literally just slow rolled it with the spinning reel, just super slow. And there's guys fishing all kinds of stuff around me, power fishing square bills, doing all kinds of stuff, throwing swim jigs, and I literally throwing that thing painfully and just letting it go, almost like a spy bait. And I caught like 14 keepers on it. And so I'm sitting here thinking about what you're doing, and then I'm doing that. I'm like, dude, this is role reversal shit. Let's switch this up.
Yeah. The thing is, though, man, is like, I'm not afraid to downsize. Like, I know a lot of guys are like, you got to throw the big bites to get the big bait, or throw the big baits to get the big bites. But, I've lived by a theory with fishing my whole life, and it even proves true in the trout world, is everybody picks on the little guy. Growing up fishing the rivers, everybody's throwing, the Rapala J9s or the J11s, the big jointeds, the original 9s, the original 11s. Yeah. I'm the only fucking dude out there throwing a 7. And I'm catching trout just as big as everybody else throwing a size 7. Like in my club, man, everybody's throwing a 3.8, a 3.3 swim bait, and I'm throwing a 2.8. And I live and die by that 2.8. And people, they're like, how the fuck do you fish your swim baits? And I'm like, I slow roll them like a spinnerbait, man, on a 1/4 ounce head, a 2-watt Gamakatsu 1/4 ounce ball head with the 2.8. And I just do that, and I will wreck shit. And I don't know why, but I just got that magic touch with that fucking bait, dude.
You probably have the confidence to fish it deep enough and slow enough too. I think a lot of people will throw it, and they throw it, and they throw it above the fish. They throw it. They can't control it because they blow it out, and it's just like you gotta have the patience to do it right.
Yeah, even like the compact spinner baits, people trip out because like I love them. I love them, man. Like I love a big bodied spinner bait, but when it comes to a little compact one, I'm like, that little fucker can get through anything, bro. Like I love it, dude. I love it. I love small baits, man.
That's the thing about the lighter wire prototypes that he's been working on. The thing I love about it is it's already a small compact profile, right? Yeah. But when it gets in the water, because that wire frame is so light, sorry, there goes Nat. It condenses, and so instead of having that V in the water column and having that water dispersal, it just does that compact, like almost ball. I love it, dude. Yeah. I love it.
The skirt does the same thing too on that.
Yeah.
You know what I like the most? Like one of the features I like the most is that fucking chartreuse bead, though. I don't know why. I feel like that is such a huge factor, bro.
Randy and I are so dumb. So it's little. Well, yeah, it's a tungsten weighted bead. I use them in my. Randy hooked me up with some, and I use them in my Tokyo rigs. But and I also use rattles, like little rattles on there. But it's weird ornate things like that, like on crankbaits when you have ginormous eyes. I don't know why. I'm an eye whore. I love big eyes, man.
You are an eye whore.
Well, I remember my buddy Connor, because he's been bass fishing his whole life, man, and I barely started bass fishing. Like I've been a fisherman my whole life, but I barely started bass fishing when I got stationed in Nebraska. And when I was stationed in Nebraska, that's how I got into it. I ended up catching like a 4-pounder on 4-pound test and a fucking a Rapala J7, dude, trout gear. And I hooked up with the 4-pounder, and it snapped my line. It almost broke my rod, and I was like, yo, what the fuck? And I was hooked, man. I've been hooked ever since. So I've been bass fishing since 2011. Yeah, around 2011. And my buddy Connor, I remember one time we were fishing, and I was like, I don't know what it is about chartreuse. And he just goes, bro, the bass hate it. I don't know what it is, but bass hate chartreuse. And ever since he said that, like anytime I notice there's just a tad bit of chartreuse in something, they'll fucking hit it more aggressive. And it could just be me. It could be one of those things, like it may seem different, but it's really just a normal bite. But I don't know. It's in my head that bass hate that shit.
Well, that's like red in fall and spring. Sometimes, you'll get those trigger bites, or like people say purple with smallies. I think that I'm always like throw purple for smallies. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what it is. It's a thing.
That's true.
That's weird. That's weird that you said 2011 though, because at the same time I was stationed in Lewis. I just got to Lewis, and that's when I got heavy into bass fishing. I did the same thing. I went out with the same spinning rod. Randy could tell you, I fished with the same spinning rod for like 10 years, dude. 10 years. It was me and this spinning rod. Swim bait, spinning rod. Crankbait, spinning rod. There was no diversity, man. It was this one spinning rod and every single fucking thing I owned in the tackle box every time. Like, period.
And after you broke that spinning rod, what spinning rod were you throwing after that? Do you remember? The one you just retired?
Oh, my daughter's pink. My daughter has this pink 2-piece, dude. Dude, I have caught thousands of pounds of bass on that thing, man.
I've seen him smoke freaking big ass bass on a frog on this little pink rod because it's a travel rod. You can zing it just anyway.
Well,
we would go beat the bank in South Carolina. I had it. We were beating the bank, and I was like, I'm gonna throw this pop R on, and I whipped it out on there. I'm like, bloop bloop, smash, and he's like, fuck, and then I take it, I put the frog on there, same thing. He's like, dude, I don't get it. And it's because I beat the shit out of the banks for so long that I had confidence in all my crap,
Yeah, man.
You could, yeah.
My first combo was a Cherrywood HD.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Berkeley, dude, all day.
A Cherrywood HD, and it was like a 6'8" medium. A nice little cranking stick, bro. And then my reel was a Daiwa Laguna, everything I got from Walmart. And then I strung it up with 12-pound string, and I ended up catching my biggest bass, which is 7 pounds to this day, on that setup.
What the hell you did?
Yeah, man. And that was my biggest bass. And I think when that happened, and I started realizing like bass fishing is one of those sports that you have to invest in your equipment as far as longevity. It's like buying a nice set of golf clubs or buying shoes that are comfortable and are going to last a long time, that aren't going to just fucking wear to shit after a month. So that's when I started getting into the more expensive stuff. Like, I didn't start taking a dive into the really expensive shit until I started getting into competitive bass fishing.
Right.
Then when I started,
you figure out how much time you're losing fishing crap and how frustrated you get. And you talk about, you're a mental case like us, right? So you're a thinker. The squirrels between your ears is what holds you back more than anything, right? So throwing crap, which I had no choice. I had to throw that for 20 years, So
well, what did it for me is when I started kayak fishing, kayak bass fishing. The limitations of my gear started irritating me. Like, I was getting so frustrated because my skill was there, but I was literally being held back by my own equipment. And so it advanced further. And when I started developing my own baits and whatnot, I was like, all right, I got to push this further. All right. And so now I'm to the point to where if I don't have like precision line in my Revo, like my Revo combo, I love it. If I don't have the right line, the right fluoro in there, I'm like, fuck it, respool, and it's the same thing with my braid now. Like, if I get that flatter diameter braid and it just glides, I'm in there. That day I'm gonna own. You know what I mean? It's just it's all the things come harmonious.
Yeah, man. And it's despite what anybody says, because bass fishing is a very opinionated sport. You know what I mean? Like, people like, oh, this is the best. This is the best. And we all do it. Like, I will say it till I'm blue in the face. I think power rods are some of the best rods you can get. And I'm not saying that because I own a shit ton of them. I'm saying that because, to me, it has been the one thing that works. Like, everybody will sit there and say Sunline Seagar. I like Suffix, dude. Like, Suffix has a bad rep, but I get a
doesn't know. I mean, dude, you were talking. I fish, and I want to be snobby here. Chris knows this.
I like Suffix. Yeah.
I fish more shit than most because I've been collecting and selling stuff for since I last worked for an employer, like actually worked. It's been 4 years. I have been, and I've worked for myself for 4 years now. I've been buying and selling all kinds of gear. Okay, so I've had a chance to try everything. Okay, almost everything, and some things you can pay for it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'll say this: most entry level stuff is crap, and it's going to be crap. Okay, but there is stuff that's like mid to high range that is just as good as the very high range. A Powell Max 3D. I have those. I have 4 of those rods. They are just as good as my IMX Pro Loomis rods. They are I'm telling you, I have an IMX Pro drop shot rod that I love, and then I have a Powell Max that I have that's a drop shot rod that it's to me, I like it better.
Yeah.
So I'll say that. When it comes to line, my the Suffix Advance and Suffix, the 832 braid, those are my jams. I have more of that line than anything. And as you know, because we were talking about the VMC Rapala Suffix hookup we were talking about earlier this year. What did I get? I got 832 braid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's everything I have with braid has 832 on it. And this is the first year I've been throwing advanced. So I usually use like the Siege Elite, which, I've never had any issues with it. The advanced, I think it's a lot better than the Siege Elite. And now that they make it in 1,200 yard spools, like I'm very happy because, now I could buy my shit in bulk like I like to. But, like I used to be a Seagar whore, man. Like I used to use Seagar like crazy. And then, I had an old timer tell me is actually, well, I shouldn't call him an old timer, but it was Mr. Conway.
You just called Joe an old timer? That freaks me out because I knew him when he was like 26.
I did, man. Well, he's my best friend's dad, so he's, I don't know, man. He's one of the old school guys. He's still the guy.
He's pops, yeah.
Yeah, dude. He's throwing a quarter ounce all white, double willow blade, and kicking everybody's ass with it. You know what I mean? So.
Homeboy was rocking a Jerry curl down to the middle of his back when I knew him. All right.
Yes.
But he told me one time, he's like, "Why are you wasting all your money with that fluorocarbon, man? Like you can do everything fluorocarbon can do with monofilament." And I was like, you know what? Let me put his theory to the test, man. Let me try it. And I started throwing my cranks on nothing but monofilament. Pretty much everything I throw is monofilament except my spinning tackles. My spinning tackles all braid except for 2 rods. My underspin rod has 8-pound fluorocarbon, and then my swim bait rod has 8-pound fluorocarbon. So I've been fishing straight mono, and fuck, man, I do fine. So I'd say with Suffix, it does everything I need it to do, man.
The one time that I'm like, absolutely, I must have fluorocarbon because I'm still, Randy will tell you, I didn't get my first bait cast set up until like a couple of years ago, man. I was rocking that Black Max till it broke, man. But now jerk baiting, like I have to have fluorocarbon. I have to. And the reason why is once I threw a quality jerk bait and I actually saw the presentation into where I could get it, for me, it's just like a thing, man. I could tie a loop knot on there to where I get that little extra movement. And the way I can work it, I love it. And I love that there's no give. Now, that's one thing I love about a quality mono, man, is you can beat the hell out of it. But braid is the one thing I don't flex on anymore. I got some of that advanced and the diameter on it and the way it rolls. I love it. I used to be a J braid guy. Like that was my thing. Earning my bones down in South Carolina, really getting deep into bass fishing. Braid was everything, But I love the braid to mono for leaders, especially on the spinning, or braid to fluoro. That's a deal. But like that's the one hang up I got is jerk baits with my Sunline, right? Or my advance for frogging and stuff like that. I have to have it, man.
Power Pro's good shit too, though, man. Like, if I can't get any Suffix, like let's say Rapala and Suffix, they're sold out of all their shit. And, I can't find the braid I want or the color I want, I have no issues buying Power Pro because Power Pro's been good to me too, man. I really love what color is it? It's like that light blue. I love that light blue shit that they have. Why? I just think it looks cool.
Now when
man.
You talk about color, I'm on this kick, man. I really want to run yellow for my spinning rods. Like that's all I want to do, man. I want to run the yellow, man.
See that 832-pound freaking yellow on the spinning rod, dude. I'm such a dork. This is what I did this last couple of years. all my gear is color coded. I never thought I'd be that idiot that would do that. I thought that was stupid. Truth is when I'm in the back of a bass boat and I got 8 rods on deck, yeah, that's what I bring. I want to know what I'm grabbing. Okay, so I just grab it. It's color coded.
Dude, I want to play school. I just want a crankbait, like big crankbait, like square orange peg. Grab, crank. That's me.
Yeah, I color code everything with rod gloves.
Yeah.
Like I open up my rod locker and I already know, like, orange is my flipping rod, gray is typically my jig rod, pink is my topwater rod. My frog rod is American flag color, so it's the Patriot color. Yeah. I got to give the best, the red, white, and blue, baby. You know what I mean?
That's right, man. I use masking tape and just write on there like an asshole. Randy's seen me do it.
Yeah, my boat makes people's eyes twitch, man. Like, I got a lot of fucking mental issues. So like, people will open my rod lockers and they're like, "Why are you this organized?" And I'm like, I can't help it, man. Like,
that's Chris.
Dude,
Chris,
they fuck with me. They get so mad at me because like we'll get done with a trip and I'm instantly doing reset, right? And then when everything has a home, all my gear has a home. They're like, "Oh, he's grouping again." I'm like, I can't help it, bro.
Chris is digging
it's my piece, bro.
Again.
Yeah, dude.
I think it probably has roots from my childhood, but I know the military definitely got me to a place where I was like, I cannot stand clutter and chaos, dude. Like, when I walk in my son's room, my eye twitches because I'm like, oh my fucking God, like, why are we like this right now? Like, it's frustrating.
You and I are the same though, like, because we grew up together and whatnot. I know your background, you know mine, right? Yeah. And so when we got nice shit, we took care of it, man. And that's why we're at that point now to where when we have quality tools, we respect the quality of a tool, right? It comes down to that whole thing. If you take care of your things, they take care of you, you know?
Yeah, man.
I'm insulted by this conversation.
He's a clusterfuck.
Dude, Antonio, it's a lot better since Chris has worked with me a little bit over the last couple of years. But it literally looked like a Bass Pro Shops vomited in my garage.
Are you the dude that has like the gallon Ziploc bag and you're like, "Yep, here's my spinner baits."
Yes, dude. I did a GI party in his garage, my guy. Oh, yeah, awesome. Yeah. I went ham. And Randy, the thing about Randy is he's not like a disorganized dude. He's just a hoarder. He's got mental issues. Like, my man was on a JDM kick for like 10 years, bro. There's totes in his garage to where there's shit they don't even make anymore. Like, you open it up and you're like, oh my God, this is a museum. This shit is awesome. You know,
I think I'm stepping on a Vision 110 jerkbait. I'm like, oh yeah, you are.
Yeah, I go shopping when I go to Randy's, man.
I got to tell you though, man. Like, I'm a whore for JDM tackle, bro. So like, I get that 100%, man.
Look at
like,
Chris' shirt. Look at Chris' shirt.
I have
rocking the G-Craft shirt.
It's called the Ninja Box, and it's literally just evergreens, man. I hate it.
All right, what's your thought on this? All right, let's do this, okay? We're going to differentiate. I want to see AV go off on a rant real quick because I got about 10 minutes left, and I got to put my son to bed. But this is I want to see AV go off on a rant, okay? So we're going to have a 6 cents Guggen rant real quick because I think everybody in the stream should go off on this, okay? So so my kick is I finally got the trace, the 6 cents trace, okay? And I won't talk to you about 6 cents yet. You probably heard my kick about them, but what are your thoughts on? Okay, clicks are a big thing right now within fishing media. So these different clicks. So you have the 6 cents click, and then you got the Guggen click, which is the two biggest ones right now. What is your whole thought on all that? Like that whole, Guggen click and all that stuff.
Well, what I say is probably going to surprise a lot of people, but I've said it since day one. But I think the dudes from Guggen are fucking geniuses, and I say this because their ability to market, their ability to sell, and their ability to keep their basically their followers as a collective to keep growing. You know, they have the youth in their palms, bro. Like the youth love these guys. Like the kids love them. The kids love Guggen. And, you know, their ability to market and the way that they have actually taken.
No.
Dude, where'd he go? I might have screwed him up. Oh, he came back. Oh my God.
Trying to censor me, bro.
I know you said Guggen, and dude, the whole internet broke.
Yeah. So
the whole internet screwed up.
Like I was saying, as far as Guggen, like I think they are brilliant, man. I think their marketing strategy, their business strategy, everything they have done is right. And honestly, I'm probably gonna get a lot of shit for this, but you know, fuck it, dude. Like I think what they did is good for the sport. And the reason I say that is because look, you have older dudes now trying to make this YouTube shit work. You know, if we could get Rick Clunn on YouTube, that would be bitching. That I'm serious, dude. Like, that would be one of those things where I'm like, I would love to hear what Rick has to say. You know, like I love watching Zona fish. I love watching Dave Mercer fish. You know, I love watching the old school guys fish just because the shit that they do, you know, it's like watching an old golfer play. You're like, man, I would have never thought to do shit like that. I would have never saw that shortcut or looked at it from your perspective. But, you know, I think the way that Guggen approached the industry, I think the reason why they're shitted on and so many people hate them is because it was like overnight, dude. It was like overnight. These just became a fucking $1 million industry. And, you know, I'm not going to say they didn't put in the work because it's a lot of fucking work to make YouTube videos. You know what I mean? Like, if it was so simple, I think we would all do it, right? We would have all done it fucking 10 years ago.
Right.
But they're the only ones who did it. And, you know, people fucking like them, man. People like them. And I can't do nothing but give them props because, you know, they're doing something I wish I was doing. I wish I was running $1 million bait and tackle shop and fucking could just fish for a living, talk shit, eat snacks. You know, they fucking barbecue and they get like 1 million views. Like I cook in my backyard. People are just like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean?
Hey, man, this is where it starts, Holmes. All right, we start this way. All right.
Well, one thing I wanted to caveat and agree with you on is a lot of people give them shit, right? And they're like, "Oh, YouTube's easy." It not even that. The self-promotion factor, the fact that those guys were hitting social media and just pounding it and pounding it and pounding it, and they were unrelenting and they were deliberate and every day they never let up. Every day, it was the consistency in which they did it, right? And people don't understand. You can throw bullshit out there every day for 60 days, but to keep a consistent message driven in a focal point that frequently is amazing. That's that Wu-Tang shit, you know? That's how Wu-Tang got big. They had a clique that was commonly focused and they put it out there until their success became to flourishing, right?
Yeah, man.
So
and you know the thing is, dude, is like when you get to a certain point in like the social media game, the YouTube game, like all this this new school shit, we'll call it new school shit, okay? And all this new school shit, companies are coming after them. You know, it wasn't the other way around. They're not chasing companies like most of us are. Like, I would kill for fucking Powell to be like, yo, bro, we want to sponsor you. Or, fuck, dude, even like Texas Pete Hot Sauce, if they were like, yo, man, we're trying to sponsor you, I'd be like, bet, sign
you
me
and
up
your Texas Pete, bro.
You know, like, that's the thing, man. These guys are getting people coming to them like, hey, promote my shit on your YouTube. And, you know, I think a lot of people hate it because they didn't do it. You know, they're like, I wish I could have done that. And it's like, well, you could have. But these guys actually fucking put pencil to paper and made it happen.
Nope.
I think a lot of people hate on them because the traditional or the serious angler is like, oh, well, they're just hitting the youth, they're hitting the bank angler, blah, blah. But if you look at what they've been doing recently and some of the people they sponsor and what Lunkers or Rob Turco has been doing, actually getting out there in the tournament circuit, it's kind of shoving it in their face a little bit. But I think that's why some of the 6th Sense people are kind of like, fuck Guggen, vice versa, because there's more serious anglers on the other camp. My whole thing is anything that promotes the sport, gets more people into conservation, gets more people into protecting what we love to do, right, and making those public and open waters. You have to get those bank fishermen involved. You have to get everybody involved, and that's kind of what they did. Now, 6th Sense, a lot of people hate on them too. But one thing I'll tell you is their design, their paint, and their ability like to just deliver baits in the way they do is unparalleled. I think Guggen's awesome. I have a little bit of beef with their soft plastics now that I'm making my own lures, right? When you mass produce things, sometimes you lose quality. That's all.
What was the first ever mold you bought?
The reason why I love the Bandito bug just because that craw profile. I also like the Rage bug, right? But
I got
tired.
Bandito
I got tired of going through a fucking bag of them, man. So I got my own mold.
Dude, I love it. I throw it.
Them out. Yeah. I haven't used it since though, because Bellows is life. But yeah. I'm a G crack whore.
I caught a fish on the Rattling Ned this weekend. So I do have a lot of the Rattling Neds.
Speaking of molds,
beanpole mold. Don't show.
This is one I'm working on. So.
Oh my God.
Beanpole. Hold on. So AV's fault. This color pattern right here is AV's fault.
Let's go.
It's a pearlescent. Yeah, pearlescent, right? And then you got that pearlescent back. But I love that.
Ooh. So this is the goofiest looking bait ever, but you should tell people what it's called and why it's called that, because that still gives me.
So this has changed names. Originally it was the beanpole, right? Right now it's the MDP. Or the MDB, really. Mum's dilly bean, right? Who Mum is? Mum's our grandmother. She used to make these dill beans every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, man. And they were the kind. They were the shit.
The damn green beans are like this damn long.
They're like this long.
And they would look exactly like that.
Yeah, and so this is ode homage to Mum. But no, that color, I started switching up and doing the core shots. This core shot, dude, is nasty. So you got pearlescent with that deep core, it just changes, bro. But yeah, just messing around with things. The things that I started playing with is color properties and changing water. I like designing baits that you can throw in multiple situations, because one thing I can't stand is I'm like, oh man, the water clarity's this now. Maybe I should fuck that. You should be able to have a utility blade and just go in there and be like, I can flip this here, I can flip that there. I'm a junk fisherman, man. So that's like my deal. I like being able to take one bait and beat the hell out of 6 different areas with it.
Well, hey guys, I'll let you guys wrap it up. I got to put Andy to bed, but I'll let
all right. One last thing.
Really showing that shit. You're just showing that shit.
No.
Show it. Go ahead. He's already.
One day, this will be.
It's coming out. That's how swim bait starts. It all starts.
This is how they start. Balsa, baby.
Yeah. Love it.
So.
Right now, it looks like shit.
Cool. Well, hey, do you guys want to wrap it up? We can always do this again. This was just a test, really. I have so much I want to talk to you guys about. Or do you want to have, or Chris, do you want to talk to AV some more?
Oh, no, I mean, dude, it's all good. We're fathers. We got to do our damn thing, but this is why you don't smoke crack.
I'll let you guys catch up real quick, but I'm going to duck out. But thank you both for doing this. I'm glad the technical thing works out. I'm sitting here talking to you guys, and my 10-year-old, I got a couple of things real quick. I'll make it quick. My 10-year-old he's not the biggest fisherman. He's been fishing his whole life, but he's not really into it. But he loves the media side of things. So he games all the time. He's playing games with his buddies on Zoom, and like he's Zooming with people and then playing with them, streaming with them on a different thing. And he's 10 years old, and this is what he does. But he is infatuated by the fact that we want to stream. And so he's like coming in, he's like, hey, I'm looking for you guys on YouTube. I can't really find you doing this way. He's sending me messages while I'm talking to you guys. Like he's sneaking under my desk, handing me paper notes, saying like, hey, I can't find this. I can't find that. Hey, have you tried this? The fact that my kid is that excited about what we're doing, regardless if he like is adored by fishing or whatever, he loves my son is going to be a marketing guy. He loves the bait design. He loves all that stuff. So he's excited about that. But
I gotta show you the craw that my man painted. So my nephew painted this craw, dude, and he spent hours like meticulously layering it. And it's avocado craw, dude. It is the sickest natural craw I've ever seen in my life, man. It is so badass.
Oh yeah. He loves the creation side of it. So that's what he's all about. But it gets guys like him, he'll be hooked on fishing forever, but he got it through the media. So I mean, like he got it through this stuff. He got it through the creative side of it. He got it through fishing, through technology. People thought technology was going to kill fishing. It hasn't. So here's a funny story. So I went to, this is at Arapahoe Community College back in the day when they used to have BASS, used to have Bass University before. They had a new version of Bass University. It was Denny Brower, Chad Brower, Woo Davies, and a guy named Rich Tauber at the time was one of the best West Coast fishermen at the time. Oh, and Don Iovino. And so this is 30 years ago. And so they were there, and this is right when Denny, I think, won his last classic. And I was in high school, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I went up to Rich Tauber, and I said, hey, I want to be a fisheries biologist, and this is what I want to do. And he goes, dude, he's like, all these guys, like, they want to be professional bass fishermen and stuff. He's like, they don't want to be fisheries biologists. He's like, you know what you need to do? He's like, I'll tell you what the future of bass fishing is. He's like, it is going to be digital media and marketing. And no, this is in 97 that he said this. He's like, it's going to be digital marketing, and it's going to be widespread multi-channel marketing. That's what bass fishing is going to turn into. And I would tell people this is what he said, and they're like, dude, you're going to go, no, that's not how, that has nothing to do with fishing. You know, that's just selling. This is how you sell baits. You create a good bait and you sponsor somebody, or
Iaconelli.
I'm not
Mike
kidding.
Iaconelli literally had built his own brand because of that.
And Iaconelli was literally 5 years later, Mike Iaconelli developed his own brand based on that whole concept.
Yeah. Well, think about the greatest anglers all time if they had access to technology like we have. Think about if KVD grew up in our era, you know, and he was.
Oh my
He would have
God.
done it. Yeah, he would have been the kind of guy to do it.
And Rick Clun too, like even Jordan Lee, man. Like Jordan Lee is the next greatest thing, man. And he's younger, and you know he has access to all this shit, and that's why these younger dudes. Yeah, man.
Dude,
that's why.
What about? Could you imagine Hank though? Hank nowadays?
Okay, Hank Parker.
Just
Dude,
saying.
he forgets his name after each sentence.
Now, but back then, I'm just saying, if you give him YouTube back then, my man would be rocking it.
Think about Bill Dance, bro. Could you imagine Bill Dance on TikTok?
Dude, he's always been a media guy. Too. Bill Dance is like, he's not afraid. Bill Dance has never been afraid to self-promote himself.
Bill Dance is the originator. He's the originator of bass fishing vines, man. Flipping out of the bees coming. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. All right, gentlemen.
One last thing before we wrap it up. You were talking about children, right? I gotta tell you, Antonio's son, he stares through my friggin' soul, dude. This kid, man. When he's in his fishing gear, he's just like, I'm like, I love it, dude. I love it.
Can they love it out there, fucking bastards. All right, man. Chris, you wanna sign us out? What do we do here?
Fucking fish for a living, living to fish.
Fish. All right, see you boys, man. I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks, Dave.
Good seeing you, bro.
Later, man. Love y'all.
Love you too, bro.
You too, brother.